how did I get engaged in the work that I'm doing, and why do I feel passionately about it? I was lucky enough to be able to spend a year after I graduated in Kazakhstan, and very much felt while I was over there that the opportunities I was afforded growing up in the United States, the passport that I had, were so amazing. And it was my responsibility to help provide those opportunities and to kind of fight for those opportunities for others that weren't lucky enough to grow up in the kind of with a great education system, with parents who really cared about making sure that I was able to take full advantage of that. And so that's really what got me started. I've gotten engaged with Princeton in Africa because I really believe that spending a year abroad when you're in your early 20s is going to totally change your life. And it's going to have a knock-on effect with all of the other lives that you're subsequently going to be able to touch. And so that's really how I go about things, would be to try and make a difference in one life, and then hope that they will feel responsible to pass that along as well. Princeton in Africa as an organization gets all kinds of students who are interested in spending a year in Africa. And that's great because there are all different types of needs there. There are different kinds of jobs and a whole variety of skill sets that can be used to improve conditions in Africa, to get people engaged. And so we see pre-med students that are very interested in going out and spending a year working on HIV/AIDS issues. We see some of the EEB students who have the ecology and evolutionary biology students who've spent time in a lab and maybe had a little bit of research experience, but who are now tracking elephants. We see students that are policy students who are able to go out and work with refugees with the International Rescue Committee. So they're all different types of personalities and all different locations where those personalities can be used in the work that we and our partners do across Africa. When you go from being a Princeton student June 2007 to being a Princeton in Africa fellow August, September 2007, you certainly see moving from one desk in Firestone Library to being able to spend time out in the field working with staff, working in various locations, in rural locations, in cities across Africa. I think one thing, though, that surprises students is they actually still get to spend a little bit of time behind a desk doing a lot of writing. And it's not always 24/7 hands-on, I can write home about this, nobody's ever done this kind of work. But it's a combination of having those types of days when you're out meeting new people, working in camps, working with mothers groups that are trying to prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV/AIDS, all kinds of different things when you're out in the field one day, but you still get to sit behind a desk a little bit other days as well. I think hearing the stories of folks that are in the field is only going to encourage more people to go out. That's something that I'd really like to start working on a lot more at Princeton in Africa, is making the stories that I get to hear on a daily or weekly basis from these fellows available to just a much wider audience. Our fellows are constantly communicating back via email to their friends. They're getting on with Skype and are able to talk back home and communicate some of their experiences. But they've got so much to tell. And just really being able to let others kind of live and learn vicariously through their experience. So if there's a way that we can better be able to communicate that and to open it up to not just the friends and family and those that are very closely connected with Princeton in Africa, but to a much wider audience, I think that'd be fantastic. I think that as we create these networks and these webs, we've got to make sure, though, that everyone that we're hitting is, to the greatest extent possible, moving deeper beyond just saying, okay, I've gotten engaged because I've clicked on this one story here, or I've given $10 here. So I think we definitely need to keep encouraging people to get more involved, but I don't think letting a greater number of people know just what the experience is like. And when you see some of the footage that fellows send me by video or their pictures, you want to get on a plane and head over there. You want to be able to experience that and understand that yourself.